every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello there, thank you for joining us on CoreTV Primetime News. I am Frank Omalape in our top stories. The leadership tussle in the House of Representatives continues as Speaker Yakubu Dogara again rejects Femi Gbajabiamila as House leader. Also in this program, the Bring Back Our Girls campaign group stormed presidential villa as President Muhammadu Buhari blames past administration for late response. And a battle over credit taking on bailout fund rages as APC lashes out at the People's Democratic Party for creating unnecessary controversy. And outside Nigeria, Somali terror group Al-Shabaab strike hit Pakistan and hitting. Thank you for joining us tonight. President Muhammadu Buhari conveys sincere and heartfelt condolences to all Nigerians who lost relatives in the latest terrorist atrocity in Jos, Kano, and Zaria. President Buhari joins them in mourning their loved ones who were brutally murdered in the suicide bombings and attacks that also caused horrifying injuries to others. The president urges all Nigerians, however, not to be unduly disheartened by the seeming resurgence of terrorist attacks and atrocities in the country, as his administration remains fully committed to overcoming the challenges of insecurity, terrorism, and insurgency as quickly as possible. President Buhari assures Nigerians of the ability and readiness of the country's armed forces and security agencies to contain the frantic resort by the terrorists to attacks on soft targets such as crowds and places of worship. And now President Muhammadu Buhari said Wednesday in Abuja that as part of its plans to reduce unemployment in the country, his administration will give full attention to the rapid revival of ailing and moribund textiles, mining, and agro-based industries. At an audience with a delegation of foreign investors, President Muhammadu Buhari declared that the creation of more jobs for Nigeria's unemployed youth was the key objective of his administration economic agenda and will be pursued with the greatest possible dedication. And now the presidency has lashed out at the People's Democratic Party for what he described as an attempt to create unnecessary controversy over efforts by President Muhammadu Buhari to give some relief to state government and long-suffering public sector workers. It also dismissed claims by party spokesman Olusametu that the PDP deserves credit for saving the funds that were disbursed as part of the intervention on package approved by President Buhari. Presidential spokesman Femi Adesina said in a statement that contrary to Metu's claims, the funds approved for sharing to the three tiers of government came entirely from dividend and taxes paid to the Federation account by the Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas Company, not from the excess crude account. He argued that the money which was paid into the Federation account in June this year and confirmed by the Central Bank on July 7, 2015 cannot be considered savings by the Jonathan administration, which left office in May 2015. And now President Muhammadu Buhari Wednesday in Abuja expressed the hope that his forthcoming meeting with President Barack Obama will further strengthen bilateral ties between Nigeria and the USA. At a meeting, the United States Deputy Secretary of State Anthony J. Blinken, President Buhari said that his talks with President Obama will also give a much-needed impetus to his administration's efforts to overcome the challenge of terrorism. The president told Blinken that Nigeria also looks forward to greater support from the United States for the multinational joint task force being mobilized against Boko Haram. President Buhari said that Nigeria and other Gulf of Guinea nations will also welcome more cooperation from the United States to enhance maritime security in the Gulf and curb crude oil theft. On behalf of President Obama, Mr. Blinken commiserated with President Buhari and all Nigerians over the recent loss of lives in terrorist attacks. And now, President Muhammadu Buhari has blamed continued captivity of the Chibok girls on the poor management attitude of the Jonathan administration. He said this on Wednesday when he gave audience to the Bring Back a Girls delegation led by former Education Minister Obi Ezekwesili at the presidential villa in Abuja. The president did not give any concrete promise on the return of the girls, but reassured the group and the parents of the missing girls that the present government will work towards subduing Boko Haram.
This is the first ever meeting between government and the group advocating for the return of the Chibok schoolgirls. It is coming after several futile attempts during the Jonathan administration. Before now, the group had never made it past any of the gates leading into the villa. But all that is now history. Although the atmosphere and circumstances are different, they are still asking one question: what efforts are being made to rescue the girls?
We also demand that Mr. President would set up a commission of inquiry for accountability on all that has happened in the Northeast, including especially the abduction of our Chibok girls. Within that request, Mr. President, we demand that the federal government would release and disclose the report of the Presidential Fact-Finding Committee on our Chibok girls in order to resolve the mysteries and the many discordant stones that led to the long period of failure to rescue our Chibok girls.
We feel there's a need to define an accountability matrix with definitive timelines for each of the agencies, defining collaboration and links to ensure that whatever it is, be it the rescue of the Chibok girls, be it the end of the insurgency, there's a clear defined mechanism where each agency is held accountable for their actions.
President Buhari, in response, berated the past administration for its poor attempt at managing the abduction and subsequent rescue missions.
It's unfortunate that the security and federal government conflicting reports initially portrayed the government and its agencies in very bad light, both nationally and internationally, because the law enforcement agencies and the government, if you can separate the two, who are conflicting each other within hours and sometimes within weeks, that's not very impressive.
Although he did not give a clear commitment for the rescue of the girls, the president is quick to assure them of renewed efforts to tackle Boko Haram.
Of the terrorists, they have blown themselves. I think they have to change their names from Boko Haram to something else. Because, as I said so often, no religion advocates hurting the innocent. You can't go and kill innocent people and say Allahu Akbar. You either don't believe it or you don't know what you are saying. So it has got nothing to do with religion. They are just terrorists. And Nigeria will mobilize to deal with them.
With these assurances from the government of the day, members of the group are hopeful that they would soon receive good news on the return of the girls. Basia Ye, CoreTV News, Abuja.
And now the leadership also in the House of Representatives is not about to end soon as Speaker Yakubu Dogara again rejected the choice of Femi Gbajabiamila as House leader. He, however, agreed to accept anyone from the group of lawmakers backing the former minority leader who is not from the northeast or southwest for the position. Spokesperson for Dogara support group Abdul Mumuni told journalists on Wednesday that this was part of the concession his group tabled at the meeting with the Reconciliation Committee headed by former Speaker Aminu Tambuwa.
In line with the principle of equity of federal character that I have stated, while conceding the office of the House leader to the Femi group, we actually added that whoever is being nominated must not come from the southwest or the northeast. This is important. Whoever is nominated must not come from the southwest or the southwest or the northeast, in line with our strong belief in the principle of equity and federal character.
And away from there now, 3 persons have been confirmed dead when 2 suspected female suicide bombers detonated bombs at 7 Garin Market in Damboa local government area of Borno State. Police Commissioner Adiremi Okpaduku told journalists in Maiduguri that 5 others were injured. The incident took place at 11 a.m. on Wednesday. And now the Federal High Court in Abuja has dismissed a fundamental human rights suit instituted by Aminu Guche, the alleged mastermind of the April 14, 2014 bomb blast in Nyanya, a suburb of Abuja. A trial judge Justice Adeni Ademola held that the suit lacked merit. He also declared that Oguche's detention by the Department of State Security Services since 2014 was lawful. Justice Ademola also held that the bomb suspect was not denied access to his lawyers and family members by the DSS and that his fundamental rights were not breached. The alleged mastermind of the Nyanya bombing had in the suit asked the court to order his release from DSS custody and award him 600 million naira as damages for being kept in detention for more than 90 days. And now Nigeria's military says the mastermind of the Jos and Zaria bomb attacks is now in custody. It revealed in a series of tweets that the suspect was arrested on Wednesday by the joint team of soldiers and state security operatives in Gombe. No further information was disclosed beyond the fact that he was arrested at a checkpoint. There is, however, no independent confirmation of the arrest of the mastermind of the bomb attacks. In the meantime, the Inspector General of Police, Solomon Arase, has directed the commencement of special stop and search operation on roads and highways across the country. Deputy Force Public Relations Officer Abayomi Shubla said in a statement issued in Abuja on Tuesday that the directive was sequel to an intelligence report before the IGP. It therefore urged the general public to cooperate with police operatives by providing answers to questions that may be asked, as well as allowing their vehicles to be searched. Abayomi was quick to add that the measure was in no way a return of roadblocks in the country and therefore urged citizens to report to the nearest police station on professional conduct by any police personnel. You're watching the CoreTV Primetime News. We take a break now. We'll be back with more stories after this time out. You join us again.
That's a sign of protest, saying that things are not good.
Women share the most amazing thoughts
When it's close to the time, our people will protest
on national issues.
That was their own point. That was an accident. That is different.
And they do it
Politics is about being a servant.
passionately.
Without a woman, there will be no success at all.
Sharing the adorable word of women
There are some women who have what it takes.
in politics.
Margaret Thatcher, Iron Lady. When she's too soft, she's too soft.
Only on CoreTV News.
Is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. It is the month where the Holy Quran was first sent down to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. During this month, Muslims all around the world must fast. They do not eat or drink between sunrise and sunset, and it is obligatory on all Muslims if they are physically and mentally sound, except for the traveler, elderly, pregnant, menstruating, or chronically ill. Whoever cannot fast, it is their duty to feed the poor if they have the financial ability. It is not only abstinence from food and drink, but also a test for patience in refraining from evil actions, thoughts, and words. It is a test to demonstrate submission to Allah, God, and a way to keep the mind and body focused on good deeds and attaining self-discipline. At night, Muslims perform extra prayers in addition to the 5 daily prescribed prayers. It is also a requirement that Muslims give charity to the poor by the end of Ramadan. The rewards for good actions are multiplied in this month, and this is why it is encouraged to reassess our actions, make beneficial use of our time, do extra prayers, read the Quran, and ask for forgiveness so that we may attain paradise through Allah's mercy, insha'Allah.
You're watching CoreTV Primetime News live from our Lagos studios. If you just joined us, a quick reminder of our top stories. The leadership tussle in the House of Representatives continues as Speaker Yakubu Dogara again rejects Femi Gbajabiamila as House Leader. The Bring Back Our Girls campaign group storms presidential villa as President Muhammadu Buhari blames past administration for late response. And the battle over credit taking on bailout fund rages as APC's lashes out at the People's Democratic Party for creating unnecessary controversy. All our top stories can be found on our social media platforms like your Facebook page. It's facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can also follow at CoreTV News NG. For live streaming now, log on to youtube.com/CoreTV. Leave a space, then news. Now, the Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered that former Adamawa State Governor Murtala Nyako and his son, Senator Abdulaziz Nyako, be remanded in the custody of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission until July 10. This was after the commission formally arraigned the duo on a 37-count charge bordering on laundering public funds in excess of 40 billion naira. The accused persons pleaded not guilty, and trial judge Justice Eva Chukwu ordered them remanded in custody till Friday, when the bail application will be heard. Our correspondent Basi Okafo has more in this report from our studios.
You can see this afternoon we came with our witnesses. We had one witness in court, but unfortunately the defense was not ready to go on. We are ready. We lack accommodation. It's a very big challenge for us. Well, when we get to the office, we know how to solve it.
Full details of that report coming shortly. And now, former Imo State Governor Ikedio Hakim was arraigned before Justice Ademola Adeni of the Federal High Court, Abuja, but his case was adjourned till July 9 for hearing on his bail application. Hakim pleaded not guilty to a 3-count charge of money laundering and was remanded in EFCC custody. The former governor, who was arrested by EFCC operatives on Tuesday, July, is standing trial for allegedly making a cash payment to the tune of $2.2 million. That's about 270 million naira for the purchase of a property at plot number 1098 Cadastral Zone, Asokoro in Asokoro District, otherwise known as 60 Kwame Nkrumah Street, Asokoro in Abuja. The amount is above the threshold approved for an individual going by the provisions of Section 1 of the Money Laundering Prohibition Act 2004. He's also accused of deliberately neglecting to disclose all his assets in the declaration submitted to the Commission. Meanwhile, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission on Wednesday failed to arraign former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Labido, and 2 of his sons, Mustafa and Amino in Kano money laundering charges. This was because the commission could not produce the former governor and sons in court despite filing charges against them in Kano on Tuesday. The prosecutor Simon Akpa blamed the development on flight problem from Abuja. The trial had to be arraigned in court on the 24-count charge of alleged mismanagement of about 1.3 billion naira and abuse of office. Lamido was alleged to have awarded contracts valued at 1.3 billion naira to some companies believed to be owned by his children. And now the coroner inquest sitting in the collapse of building at the Synagogue of All Nations has identified structural defect as the cause of incident. And the verdict delivered by Komolafe Oyetade, the coroner recommends the prosecution of contractors who handled the project for what it called professional negligence. A correspondent, Abiola Aluwole, has details.
Jolted by the collapse of the building at the premises of the Synagogue Church of All Nations in the Cotton area of Lagos in 2014, which led to loss of some lives, the Lagos State government instituted the coroner inquest to unravel the cause of the collapse. After several sittings, the coroner, led by Magistrate Komolafe Oyetade, blames the collapse on structural defects, which negates the claims of the church that a certain airplane which flew over the building was responsible for the collapse. The coroner also recommends the prosecution of contractors responsible for the construction of the building for what it described as professional negligence. But in a reaction, the defense counsel says the verdict of the coroner vindicates the position of the church for adopting due process during the construction of the collapsed building.
As far as we are concerned, we have been vindicated that we did not patronize quacks, that we procured good materials, that we use current certified engineers. So, as far as we are concerned, indeed, the coroner's inquest has vindicated the position of the church.
His position was swiftly opposed by Akingbolawan Adeniran, the prosecuting counsel. It says the verdict of the coroner does not exonerate the defense.
Of course, there are two individuals whose names have been mentioned that he's recommended investigation and prosecution against. It may not be limited to these two individuals. Neither am I saying that we're going beyond these two individuals. But once you start criminal investigations, everything is open. So I don't think this is the end of anything to come. So I won't say he wasn't the subject of proceedings. So there's no question as to whether or not he would have been vindicated or exonerated. So I would take issues with that.
As both parties proceed to study the verdict of the coroner, observers will be waiting for the next line of action to be taken by the state and the defense. Abiola Oluwole, CoreTV News, Lagos.
And now the Imo State Council of Security, headed by Governor Rochas Okorocha, says the council is set to tackle insecurity in the state. The council, in its just concluded security meeting at the Imo State Government House, says they are ready to work together for better security of the state. The meeting, which had in attendance Governor Rochas Okorocha, the Imo State Army Commandant, the Commissioner of Police, the Commander NSCDC, the Director DSS, traditional ruler, had courtesan kidnapping, the congestions of Imo prisons, baby factories, and other social vices topic to gender.
Kidnapping in Imo State, agreed that they come very, very hard on rapists, kidnappers, and thugs, which has become what you might want to call the order of the day in Nigeria, not even in Imo in particular. So Imo State has decided today to get rid of them, all these social ills in the society.
And now the 400 billion naira bailout fund from President Muhammadu Buhari has caused scruples between the Ekiti State government and the state chapter of the All Progressives Congress. While the state governor, Ayodele Fauci, says Ekiti State is given its entitlement from us a federating unit, the APC says denial of such fund is an act of ingratitude on the part of the state government and a means not to use the fund for the purpose of payment of salaries. Our correspondent Rashid report from Ado-Ekiti.
The bailout fund made available by the Central Bank of Nigeria to states with financial distress has been seen as a good gesture. But to the Ekiti State government, no bailout was made available, as the 2.1 billion naira accrued to the state is just its rightful entitlement from the Federation account. However, the APC in Ekiti State has said such statement on the side of Governor Ayodele Fayose is a sign of ingratitude.
This state was listed among the states bailed out by the federal government. Again, it is far from the truth. May I say very clearly, the money was legitimate earnings for Ekiti under the federating units.
The money was meant to bail out the state governments in payment of workers' salaries, public servant salaries. And this is a government that is still owing September 2014 salary. This is a government that is still owing June salary of 2015.
While the government says the 2.1 billion naira accrued to the state is not enough to settle June's salary, promising to source for additional funds, the APC insists that the fund is more than enough to offset outstanding salary payments.
This 2.1, our wage bill is about 2.6. I will work hard within the next 1 week to find a way to make up the 2.1 to 2.6 to be able to pay the June salary.
The wage bill of Ekiti, as of the moment, is about 1.6 billion naira. It's trying to explain a way so that the people, particularly the public servants, will not be expecting that you will pay the backlog of wages with the bailout fund.
On the part of the state government, announcing Ekiti as one of the bailed-out states amounts to seeking cheap in popularity by the Buhari-led government. But the APC carpets Fayose, saying his recent outburst is a ploy to discredit the government of President Muhammadu Buhari.
I want to make sure that I do not leave gap for anybody to start taking cheap accolade for what did not happen.
Apologize on behalf of Ekiti to Mr. President, and that he should not take Fayose serious on such matters, and he should see this, like we are saying, as a continuation of his hate campaign.
Bailout or not, Nigerians are eagerly watching how the funds will be expended by the state government, as this is seen as a rare opportunity to alleviate the sufferings of ordinary Nigerians. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado-Ekiti.
And now the Nigerian Union of Teachers in West Day praised President Muhammadu Buhari for the economic bailouts to states. The teachers, however, warned state governments that they won't tolerate non-payment of salaries of their colleagues. The union said this at a ceremony to mark its 84th anniversary at its secretariat in Abuja. It also urged President Muhammadu Buhari to put education and security.
Teachers have always said, please don't bite more than you can chew. Education is a very big industry that you have to modify this your free this, free that syndrome. So funding and management of schools and education is very, very capital intensive. So all these challenges are there. You have the challenges of curriculum development.
When you look at in terms of welfare of teachers, not all over the country, most of the states in the country, we have recorded a lot of achievement in the area of our own field, and also in the area of development and welfare packages for our members.
And now, Kaduna State Council of the Nigerian Union of Journalists has cleared the air on rumors that he has endorsed one of the candidates aspiring for the national leadership of the Union of NUJ leadership in the state, which made his clarification when he received the acting president, Rotimi Obamwago, who is also eyeing the position.
That all the 6 candidates are eminently qualified to lead NUJ. So we want you all to understand that it is God that gives power. We have not endorsed anybody.
The union is ours, and we must be willing and ready to do anything to make it survive, to make it work. It is the way you are dressed that you are being addressed. If we want prestige to come to our union, then we must be ready to make certain sacrifices.
The next administration of NUJ
under my guide, we give insurance claim free of charge to every practicing journalist. But by the time I resume as president, by your vote and this grace, I intend to enhance the ID card program. For example, we will spend 3 years in government, and your ID card will last 3 years. You will no longer pay 2,000 naira per annum. What we are planning is that the ID card tenure, the tenure of the ID card, the number of days, years it will use, we also, with the abundance of heart and the experience we have in this job, we can give insurance claim free of charge.
Judiciary workers in Edo State have resumed work after the union had suspended its 6-month strike earlier in the week. Counsel to the Judicial Workers Union, Barrister Folabi Olayiwola, while expressing joy over the resumption, felt saddened that some persons have died in custody while others who ought to be discharged have theirs extended. The report. The suspension was made possible following Governor Adams Oshomole's agreement to ship grounds and pay all recurrent expenditures. Meanwhile, activities was at its lowest ebb despite resumption. Apart from those petty traders and restaurants that are yet to pick up, cleaning exercises are ongoing. Others who came to seek for services were seen in group discussing as there was no court sittings. Some members of the union, however, expressed joy, and now that the court has resumed, they are hopeful that their salaries will be paid as promised.
But we are praying family that Oshomole, the Comrade Governor, will pay us our salaries. So we've resumed. However, I'm happy that we resumed. And we have resumed permanently.
The job once again, whatever happened has happened, and we are back in full swing and to do our job.
State Chairman of Jusun, Uyi Ogiriaki, while commending Governor Adams Oshomola for the steps taken to make the judiciary independent, as shows of full activities from next week.
I want to really commend the Comrade Governor for giving recurrent expenditure and directing the Accountant General of the state to release the recurrent expenditure, which has to do with salaries, overhead, in short, the running of the courts. And that's a plus to him. I think he'll be happy when he's leaving office, he's leaving an independent judiciary.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has intercepted a sum of $2,198,900. The money was seized by the anti-narcotic officials on the grounds of suspected money laundering at the local wing of the Murtala Mohammed Airport, Lagos. 146-years-old Ibitaye John Bamidele is being investigated in connection with the case. The suspect was apprehended on his way to Abuja. Preliminary investigation conducted by the Asset and Financial Investigation Directorate of the NTLEA revealed that Ibitaye's action is in contravention of the Money Laundering Prohibition Act 2011 as amended. He alleged that the money belongs to one Dr. Martin Olufemi Thomas, a medical practitioner in Lagos. Investigation conducted by the agency did not link the money to proceeds of narcotics. However, a country having insurgency challenge cannot afford to ignore suspicious movement of large amount of money. And a 32-year-old Lagos-based trader and suspected drug trafficker has died of cocaine injection at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja. The suspect, identified as Ndulue Emmanuel Obiefuna, collapsed at the departure hall and was taken to a nearby hospital. Ndulue was an intending passenger on an Ethiopian airline flight to China en route Addis Ababa on July 5, 2015. NDLA commander at the Abuja airport, Hamisu Lawan, said that the suspect confessed to cocaine injections at the hospital. The deceased collapsed at the departure hall and was being attended to by port health officials. The collapse triggered suspicion, and a narcotic officer was assigned to monitor the development. When the suspect's condition stabilized at the hospital, he confessed to cocaine injection. At that point, the NDLA took over the case from the port health services. He later died while receiving treatment. Well, it's so saddening there. Moving away from there now, Nigeria's foreign exchange reserve have risen above the $30 billion mark for the first time in 2 months. Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele disclosed this during a courtesy call on Senate President Bukola Saraki. The CBN governor puts the foreign reserves at $31.8 billion, up from about $29 billion inherited from the Jonathan administration.
So we must also show the good signal.
It is yet another in a series of meetings between the new leadership of the Senate and major players in the Nigerian economy. The CBN governor came with virtually all the directors in the bank to honor the invitation. He came with a shopping list of what the central bank wants the Senate to do to boost its operations, but also revealed how the nation's foreign reserves improved as a result of measures taken by President Buhari.
The external reserves declined from $37.3 billion in June 2014 to $29.1 billion as at the end of June of 2015. I am delighted to note that with the strong efforts of His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, to plug all leakages as well as the vigilant demand management strategy of the Central Bank of Nigeria, we have seen our foreign exchange reserve begin a gradual recovery. As at the 7th of July 2015, the reserves stood at $31.89 billion, a trend we find extremely gratifying.
Senate President expressed delight at the news and noted that it was just an example of how APC anti-corruption policies can impact on governance.
I am happy to see that one of the first areas has largely to do with this issue of tackling revenue leakages and this area of fiscal discipline. We all have seen the issues of we're hemorrhaging in some of our revenues. I'm happy to see a good example you've said now, seeing the gradual increase on our reserves, largely due to this area of fiscal discipline. And I think this is a key area that we all need to work very closely together.
The two teams soon went into a 3-hour-long closed-door talks, and afterwards, the CBN governor shed more light on the deliberations.
We are here at the Senate chambers to brief the Senate President and the leadership of the Senate as part of our statutory responsibilities about the state of the economy, about all the actions that we have taken. You are all aware about some of the actions that we have taken following the drop in crude prices by as high as almost about 45%, and the fact that we've had to depreciate our currency from 155 to 197 naira that it is. We've also had to take certain decisions to ensure that we keep our reserves still looking good. And I think I must use this opportunity to commend the efforts of His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, for his dogged approach in saying that all leakages will be blocked.
The central bank, among others, wants an end to waivers on rice imports as part of measures to encourage local rice producers. It also wants the new government to take meaningful steps to revive the moribund textile industry, as well as diversify the economy.
Well, from $29 billion to $31.8 billion. That seems to be some relief for Nigeria's economy. And that's it in business. We'll take a break now. When we come back, CoreTV Primetime News continue in business and other stars. Join us again.
This is what the people are saying.
You don't run a big economy with generator. They need to do more in terms of energy and power.
Many things to do for this Nigeria about lights, water, and new TT.
For Nigerians that are not gullible, we know that good laws have done nothing good for this country.
Buhari won the election convincingly.
Talk to your husband that you should keep promise about what you said, and because people are watching you, another election is coming.
But some people will strong for Yoruba land. Will be strong man. You don't die.
This nation is moving forward. The best is going to take place.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
Outside Nigeria now, South Sudan rebel leader Riek Machar said President Salva Kiir should resign and dissolve his government at midnight Wednesday when the country's 2011 transitional constitution is set to expire. Rebel leader Machar called on Kiir to make way for a new government. Machar says the people want to know that the regime in Juba is illegitimate and therefore dealing with the regime is just like dealing with a regime that has made a coup, and practically it has made a coup against the people. A political fallout between the two leaders spiraled into interethnic violence in December 2013 that has killed tens of thousands of people despite several ceasefires. The two sides have been engaged in slow-going peace talks under the mediation of the East African Regional Bloc IGAD, but have made little headway toward a lasting deal. Fighting has also pushed communities to the brink of famine and displaced more than 1.1 million people within the country. South Sudan declared independence from Sudan on July 9, 2011. And now Ghana's ruling party reclaimed a parliamentary seat from the main opposition on Tuesday in a closely contested by-election seen by both parties as a referendum on President John Mahama's rule ahead of a national election in 2016. The ruling National Democratic Congress will veil its victory in the rural Talensi seat in Upper East region as evidence that it remains viable heading into the December 2016 election season after a series of setbacks. Mahama's government won election in 2012 but is facing power shortages that cause prolonged electricity blackouts that have angered voters and hurt businesses. It has also been forced into an aid program with the International Monetary Fund in an attempt to restore fiscal stability and jumpstart rapid GDP growth. The by-election will not change the balance of power in Parliament, where the ruling party now holds a majority of about 27 seats. And now in sports now, the Nigerian Football Federation has confirmed it's in talks with the ex-Nigerian international and former Super Eagles captain Sunday Olise with regards to the vacant position of the Super Eagles head coach. And following the encouragement of a team of the NFF Technical and Development Committee that is working and filing the vacant position, Sunday Olise met with NFF President Amaju Pinnick in London on Tuesday. Olise, who holds a UEFA Pro license, who has coached Belgian lower division club Vivitua between 2008 and 2009, played for Regina, FC Cologne, Ajax Amsterdam, Juventus, Borussia Dortmund, and Bochum and RC Genk in a magnificent professional career, during which he played under some of the best coaches. Olise has won 63 caps for Nigeria between 1993 and 2002, picking up Africa Cup of Nations gold, silver, and bronze medals. And now, Nigeria international Emmanuel Emenike will move to Fenerbahce from Spartak Moscow, has been shipped out to the Bulls for a season. The 28-year-old has joined United Arab Emirates Pro League side Al Hilal on loan until the end of the season, as he made 27 appearances with 4 goals for the Yellow Canaries last season and will replace Ghana's keeper Asamoah Gyan. He extended his contract with Victor Pereira's man by a year, but is now looking for more first-team experience with the United Arab Emirates-based outfit. Speaking about the deal, Emenike said being a Fenerbahce player is something he will cherish for the rest of his career. But now he has to move because he needs a new challenge in his career, and leaving now is the best decision taken, as he also thanked Fenerbahce and everybody who believes in him in one way or the other. Well, it does arrive with sport and, of course, with CoreTV Prime Time News. But just before we go tonight, to recap of a major headline. We told you that the leadership tussle in the House of Representatives continues as Speaker Yakubu Dugara again rejects Femi Gbajabiamila as House leader. We also brought to you that the Bring Back Our Girls campaign group stormed presidential villa as President Muhammadu Buhari blames past administration for late response. And the battle over credit taking on bailout fund rages as APC lashes out at the People's Democratic Party for creating unnecessary controversy. And finally, outside Nigeria, South Sudan rebel leader Riek Machar asked President Salva Kiir to resign. Well, thank you for being part of CoreTV Primetime News tonight. On behalf of the entire news crew, I am Frank Omalape. Have a good night, rest.